you attempt to contain or interact with the phenomena, immediately report your findings and follow appropriate decontamination procedures.
Alright there, geezers. It's Jules here, joined by Josh, and we are here with one question on our minds. Is Pacific Drive worth your time? But we're going to sit here and break it down because we both played the game and we both had a pretty okay time with it. Josh, how are you doing?
I have the video playing behind me of the game being played, so
I'm looking at it at 720p over this, just going, oh yeah, you do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you do.
You might be able to see it.
It looks very, very good indeed. And well, I know what it looks like because I had a chance to play the game thanks to the developers giving us both early access to it and a little preview build. Now, you played a lot more than I did over the Christmas break, but still I have some thoughts, some queries, and quite a lot of praise for this game because for those of you out there who don't know what Pacific Drive is, they have listed it as a roguelite, which is basically a car-based exploration survival horror-ish video game in which you are set inside an anomaly, let's just say, and you need to try and figure out what is going on and how the heck to get out of it. And I know if that sounds a little bit vague, that's kind of the point though. You have to experience it for yourself because this game is dripping, nay oozing with atmosphere. Isn't that right, Josh?
This game has atmosphere coming out of its ear holes. Imagine Stalker, the movie Stalker. Forget who the director was of that. Russian man, but with more colors and more action and driving around and getting thrown into the air in a 2-ton vehicle several times. It's a good time. I had an overall good time with the game.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot to praise in terms of the setting and the direction, art direction and sound direction of this game because things start off very strong indeed. They set you into this world which is as confusing to you as it is to still the people that are actually surviving and eking out a living there. But all you're told is one thing. You need to get to the center of this anomaly and figure out what's going on. And to do that, you are given a lovely car. And I say lovely, there's some heavy air quotation marks around that because it is a piece of crap. Much like most people's first car, it is barely held together by the collective will of everyone in the room. But luckily, you'll be upgrading it, repairing it straight away, which is fantastic. And you'll be then going just hell for leather down the road. Less so when you go off-road, because it does scream to a grinding halt. But you'll be, along the way, you'll encounter new characters that will help you on your quest, and also there'll be a lot of strange goings-on and creatures that will jump in and try and rip your car to shreds. And trust me, much like the dog in Fable 2, you will grow very attached to your bucket of bolts very, very quickly indeed. Did you name your car by any chance?
I didn't name it, I will admit I didn't name it, but I did grow very attached to it, which I often do. I'm a huge sucker for games where they give you a vehicle that you have to maintain and it's your only friend in these kinds of places like Far, the Lone Shore from the other year. I love that so much.
Were you a companion cube guy?
Exactly. And this is just that for the whole game. I do love this car. I wasn't sure whether it was going to be a case of you have this one car for the whole thing, or maybe you get a new car, or maybe it'll be a car of Theseus. You replace so many parts that eventually you have to wonder if it's even the same car that you started off with, which it still could be, mind you. It was only a 3-hour or so preview, and it seems like the game's going to be a lot longer. We didn't see too much of what the upgrades and the crafting are going to entail and everything that's going to be available there, but there's a lot of really cool things with this car that I can't wait to see more of, frankly.
I did find that this was the most shocking feature of Pacific Drive, is that from the trailers and from the sort of press releases that have been going out about this game, you get the impression that this is going to be more weighted towards the horror aspect than it is the exploration and survival and crafting aspect. But in our playtime, we can definitely confirm that it is the latter that takes the sort of center stage.
The Olympic Peninsula, the crown jewel of the Pacific Northwest. Its unmatched views and quiet solitude offer everything you need in the most beautiful place on Earth.
There is no cause for alarm. Take shelter in the closest pocket of stability in your area, and please refrain from thoughts or memories of home.
So if you were expecting this to just be like an open world game in which you'll be driving off into the sunset and being chased by Choo Choo Charlie or the like, or his Discount Wish brother, you will be maybe disappointed But maybe that's not the worst thing, because what we have on offer here is a much deeper and richer experience, because you're going out there collecting materials, crafting new items for your car, just basically keeping it running as you try to progress through these massive like areas or level segments, I guess you could describe them as. And because it's all procedurally generated, there is tons of extra bits and bobs, isn't there?
Absolutely there is, yeah. The way I would, to what you were saying about expectations, the way I'd compare it is, imagine if someone made a trailer for Minecraft that was entirely exploring caves and being at night and fighting mobs. A lot of the marketing for this game has been centered around dark woodland environments, creatures coming out of everywhere, you know, running through storms to get to little buildings where you can get scraps to repair your car. And that is in the game, but it's not the focus. It is. I think I played about 40%, less than that, 30% of my time was at night, and that's because I specifically went out seeking those things. It reminds me a little bit of Scorn, which was advertised largely as an action game with guns where you're shooting all these crazy creatures in, you know, Alien-esque, Geiger-inspired environments, when it's really kind of like a Playdead game in 3D. It's just a puzzle game, and that's it.
It's a game that didn't want you to use the shooting mechanics, I'll tell you that much, because every single time I saw people playing it, that was the first thing they were complaining about.
Absolutely. And this feels kind of the same.
I don't think that people are going to be complaining per se about the shift here, because without the sort of depth required, you're going to go through a game like this if it was just survival horror, just jump scares, and you'd be done with it in a couple of hours. Whereas this, because there is so much emphasis on the creating, the crafting, and making your car, I do feel like there is a sense of depth here that's going to keep people coming back again and again and again for different runs. And I don't know about you, man, but I got absolutely totaled the first few times that I wandered off the beaten path. I was just like, right, I can handle myself. I've got this weird sort of like buzzsaw cutting thing that has allowed me to like get scrap. I'm sure that I'll be fine. And because I forgot to put my car in park, it's now rolled off of a cliff. Sick.
Yeah, that's one of the things I had to get used to. At first I was like, I don't know if I like this, but by the end I did. There are a lot of nitty gritty things you have to, you know, turn the ignition to turn the car on, put the handbrake in, and I'm like, what is this? Realism? But by the end, I was like, yes, in the routine of doing it, switching everything.
And especially when you've got like this creeping anomaly that kind of like is going onto your car, eating it, like ripping it apart, and you're just there like, Dan, the bloody key, put it into drive, and like accidentally putting it into reverse and going straight back into it. Like,
absolutely, especially when you're trying to leave areas and that there's this red Fortnite-esque storm encroaching on you from all directions, and it's please go, I'm begging you. And it's especially tough when you go off-road, because the car, at least the base car before you upgrade it at all, it does not like going off-road at all. On the road, it's smooth, it's a smooth drive. As soon as you drive off-road, it's a different story altogether. It's like going into the bits it doesn't want you to drive on in Mario Kart. You just grind to a halt.
But it kind of makes sense, because you are driving what is in essence a like saloon family car from the 1980s, and it handles about as well off-road. And I find that quite funny, in that each individual aspect of the car can take damage, and obviously that means that you could just be driving along and it's just like, wait, that is my wheel that's just overtaken me right now. As you start grinding into the asphalt.
There were three separate times where I had that exact situation of, there goes my wheel flying past my window. Particularly, there is one level in the preview where it's a much more set-piece oriented level, where you're going to see one of the major anomalies for the first time. And it's this big, glowing orb, like something from a Simon Stalenhag painting.
Or just me without my hat on. Yeah.
And as you're driving towards it, suddenly realize that there is a huge cliff surrounding it that you need to jump off. And you have to just watch the little screen in front of you that shows you the damage levels of all your parts. Just turn white, green, orange, red. It does not like it.
But I tell you what, there is a lot to love about this experience. I feel like it's a more subtle approach to survival horror. There's a very in-depth crafting mechanic going on here. There is a ton of intrigue, which is a very hard thing to generate in a game. And overall, I've had a very fun time. Now, I will say that the action, because it is confined mainly to the car when you're driving and trying to avoid obstacles, it can feel a little bit clunky at times, but again, this is just down to seeing where the car evolution goes. If you can get upgrades that increase your handling, that allow you to avoid certain obstacles or even blast them out of your path, Mario Kart style with a big honky dooter horn, then fantastic. But as it stands right now, I feel like I'm getting more from the game actually just exploring and having fun and going and poking my head through the wilderness. So yeah, it's not what I was expecting, but it's not to say that I'm having a bad time. I'm just having a very different time to maybe that which I was sold on.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I was convinced that it would be sort of trundling through the forest, getting out of the car, searching through boxes to try and find things, and then going home, and then getting mauled by a creature of some kind. Yeah. But it seems a lot more, I don't want to say it's a lot more chill, during the daytime.
I get what you mean, though.
It's
just kind of chill.
Yeah, driving through, like, obviously there's a giant radio tower right there that's shooting electricity at me, and there's a UFO made of parts of the road flying by that's going to shoot suction cups onto my car to try and drag it off a cliff.
Who doesn't have that?
Exactly, that's just driving around regular day to day.
Yeah.
But it weirdly feels relaxing, driving through this left by man, there's no people around. Obviously that changes a little bit into it when they add a few more enemies. There's a particular enemy, which is, I don't remember what they're called. I think they're called...
Is it the can opener?
The can opener is pretty dangerous, but at least you can tell that they're there. It's the tourists that I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Which are basically Weeping Angels / SCP-173, except instead of just killing you when they touch you, they explode violently into a fiery explosion. And at first I didn't realize that they were doing the Weeping Angel SCP-173 thing.
Yeah.
It was when I'd gotten out of my car around a group of them, and I went into like a little a gas station, a petrol station, and I sort of looked in the cash register, I took some things out of some boxes, and then I went back to the front door, and they were all huddled around the building that I was in. I was like, you weren't stood there before, were you?
That's brilliant. And this is the thing, there are moments like that genuinely shoot dread through you, because I feel like the game toys with the concept of letting you relax, letting you explore, and then hitting you with a good old dose of, well, surprise, tension, fear, whatever you want to call it. But either way, what Pacific Drive is doing is something very different. I can't say I've ever had an experience quite like it, and that's why I'm very much looking forward to its full release.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see... I want to see more from the upgrade systems and the crafting systems, and honestly, I want to see more of those big anomalies. I want to see what set pieces they have in store. Those are really exciting.
3, 2, 1...
And the best part is that you don't even have to wait that long, because it's coming out in 2024. We don't have an official date just yet, but obviously developer Ironwood Studios has put out that it is coming out in 2024 for PlayStation 5 and Microsoft Windows. Hell yeah!
The potential is limitless. On this day, we welcome
But that's been our first impressions of Pacific Drive. There may be a little bit of foot on the brake when it comes to your expectations of this being a new survival horror game, but maybe it's all gas, baby, if you're looking for an immersive kind of survival building crafting sim with a bit of a unique twist. That's been our thoughts on Pacific Drive. Make sure that you subscribe to the FGS YouTube channel, and you can follow both Josh and I on our social media handles that should be arriving on the screen right now. But until then, keep yourself safe, and we'll speak to you very soon. Bye-bye.